So I want to talk about Sam Darnold. And specifically, I'd like to talk about the way the media is perceiving the Sam Darnold Super Bowl victory to be is, frankly, I think completely irresponsible and an awful way to frame sports discussions. Darnold is being framed as a guy who didn't contribute very much. People aren't giving him the credit that he rightfully deserves. I've been listening to clown takes on ESPN talking about how any quarterback could have won that Super Bowl. I've heard that Drake May would have won the Super Bowl if he was on the Seahawks. I've heard that Shedeur Sanders would have won the Super Bowl if he was on the Seahawks. Incredibly ignorant takes. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. You know how I know these guys wouldn't have won the Super Bowl if they were on the Seahawks? Because I've watched them play against us and against the Rams. Look, Darnold, his numbers in the Super Bowl might not have looked very impressive. 50% completion percentage, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. He took care of the football. He threw for 200 yards. Quite a few incompletions. I get it. You look at those numbers and you say, he was mid, carried by the defense. And you're right. It is probably true that most of those quarterbacks, almost any quarterback in the league, if their defense played the way the Seattle defense did against the Patriots, they can win that game. That specific game. But would they be there in the first place? That's what people are forgetting. Sam Darnold, it's not just that he won the Super Bowl. It's that he got them to the Super Bowl in a stacked NFC against the Rams. How many quarterbacks against the Los Angeles Rams, the best team in football most people thought, were going to go 25 of 36 for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and 9 yards on the ground? Over 350 total yards, 127 passer rating. That's what he did against the Rams. So when I hear somebody say that they think Caleb Williams could have won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, I would point out the fact that Caleb against the Rams threw 3 interceptions, had a passer rating of 59.3, which is less than half of what Darnold. Darnold had Caleb more than doubled in passer rating against the Rams. Just 1 week before, Caleb Williams only scored 17 points against the Rams. He turned the ball over 3 times, and he lost. Darnold scored 31 points against the Rams, turned the ball over 0 times, and he won. Interesting how that works out. Or what about Jaden Daniels, who I'm hearing from people that Jaden Daniels would have won the Super Bowl if he was on the Seahawks? Why didn't he beat the Seahawks when he played them, when Darnold was clearly the better player on the field? Seattle played Washington. Jaden Daniels, 1 interception, no touchdowns, 153 yards, 72 passer rating. Sam Darnold, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 330 yards. His best game of the season. So I'm sick of hearing that Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Darnold for some reason. I'm sick of hearing that Brock Purdy would have won the Super Bowl if he was on the Seahawks. You know how I know that? He wouldn't have, because he couldn't beat the Seahawks. And by the way, he didn't beat the Rams either. What did the Niners do against the Rams? With Brock Purdy under center, they lost 42-26. I guess that was actually Mac Jones. So I apologize to the Brock Purdy never even played the Rams this year. We wouldn't have known how it went. They did beat them with Mac Jones, and then they lost them with Mac Jones. So, I don't know. Maybe Mac Jones has an argument. Shedeur Sanders. Oh, spare me the tears from the Cleveland fans. Darnold is one of 5 guys, I believe, who could have gotten to the Super Bowl. How many quarterbacks are winning that NFC Championship game against the Rams? Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, maybe Jalen Hurts, and Stafford. I think if Stafford swapped teams, he would have won if he was on the Seahawks. So I'll listen to you. If you want to say the MVP, Matthew Stafford, yeah, I'll agree. Stafford's better. Mahomes is better. Josh Allen, special talent, he's better. Lamar, 2-time MVP, I'll give it to you. And if you want to argue for Jalen Hurts because he won the Super Bowl MVP a year ago and beat the Chiefs, I'll listen to that. But I'm not going to listen to the Sam Darnold slander when you try to tell me that Caleb Williams is on the same level. He's not. Drake May is not on the same level as Sam Darnold. If you want to be on the same level, win the actual games. I'm sick of hearing these hypothetical arguments. Darnold did what he had to do. It's actually really interesting. I was just talking about this the other day about figure skating. It's very similar to what the guy who took home the gold medal in the figure skating. He didn't do the craziest things. Shydrov, who won the men's figure skating gold medal, he can't do the physical things that some of the other guys can do. He can't land a quad axel. He can't. Some of the other guys can. Similar to how Sam Darnold, he can't make the craziest throws. He's not Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He did what he could do. He controlled what he could control, and he didn't make the mistakes. Sam Darnold, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers. Josh Allen, at his best, could probably give you 10 touchdowns, no turnovers. But he didn't. He turned the ball over a bunch. He lost. He made mistakes. Stafford made mistakes. Drake May made mistakes. Darnold didn't. His best is not as good as Josh Allen's best, or as good as Drake May's best, or as good as Stafford's best, or even as good as Caleb's best. But what Darnold did was he won. Because he didn't make the mistakes. He didn't make the fatal errors and the crucial blows like the other guys did. Very similar to the ice skating. Shydrov's best is not as good as Ilya Malinin's best. But when Shydrov is one of the 2 out of the 20 guys who doesn't fall, everybody else fell. Shydrov didn't, and he won. Sometimes the lesson here is just do your best. Control what you can control and let other people make the mistakes. Every other quarterback in the playoffs, 41 touchdowns, 38 turnovers. Darnold, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's why he won, and that's why he is a winner. And that's why, in my opinion, he is a clear-cut top 6 quarterback, and I'm not going to listen to any other arguments. That's where he's at. That's who he is as a player. We do have some breaking news. Tyreek Hill has been released from the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins moving in a different direction. You got to feel a little bit bad for Tyreek and just kind of the scenario he's in. I don't even know if he'll be able to play next year. I hope he will. I kind of have a feeling when it's all said and done, this is my guess. My guess is that Tyreek Hill is going to find himself on the Chiefs. I think he'll find himself playing for the Chiefs in kind of a comeback story-ish kind of format and just kind of see what happens. But that would be my best estimate as far as at this point, he's not a playmaker that he once was. He's not the big play, deep ball threat that he once was. He's just a guy. He's a guy who's injury prone and kind of talkative. A little bit of a, I don't want to say distraction, but he's not who he once was. I think he ends up on the Chiefs, and I think him and Mahomes are going to go for one last, maybe next year, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, and Travis Kelce try to go for one more ring together. And that's a fun storyline, and I could get behind that storyline. But it won't be with the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, it seems like they are kind of going in a new direction here. So we'll see what happens with the Dolphins. But that's the story today, and this has been another episode of Coast to Coast Sports.